What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. This is John speaking to, and I'm gonna do something I haven't done in a long time, which is a shame because that's how I started this channel. I'm gonna do some more stuff about prison. You know what I mean? Help people out, let them know about each compound from when I was there. Compounds can change month to month. You know what I mean? And give a little bit of my stories while I was down there. Maybe make a few people laugh. Maybe make a few people think. Whatever. But let me start by saying Wallkill is the best facility I can ever go to. I was there because they closed Mount McGregor down. I was in Mount McGregor, and one of the things I did was, I did the caustic boxes. The caustic boxes was a toolbox filled with chemicals. And you drop them off to certain areas, and people would open them up, and they had the spray bottles and the chemicals, and they would clean the areas. And one of the places I dropped the caustic boxes off to was Draft. Draft is prisoner movement, wherever they're going. And I dropped it down, and I went to leave, and one of the officer like, Santa, you got caught next week? I'm like, nah, I don't. And I went to leave. Like, you sure? I'm like, nah, I ain't sure. Like, do I got caught next week? So he's like, what you did? I'm like, 10/11/86. So he ran, he looked at the papers and shit. He's like, yeah, you got caught next week. I'm like, for what? He's like, I don't know. It's just a writ in order to produce. And I did a video about that. I got charged with another burglary, ran consecutive with what I was going on. So they added 5 more years onto my shit. And at the time, it was only a year violation. And I maxed out in 5 years, plus my 3 years, but, right before it. That's why I was on parole, So I had that year violation, and then I had the 5 years, and I maxed out in 5 years. And then I had a year violation right after. So, but I think you learned all about that if you're dedicated enough to watch, my videos, because there was a lot of funny shit. Because people asked me some weird questions. 2 people asked me questions about like why I changed my the name up there. Like the name of my channel. It's And I made a video about that, and he was on my Facebook. So, like, if you're my friend and you're like my buddy, you should have watched the video instead of making me repeat myself. You know what I mean? Because, like, whatever. But the best spot I've ever been to is Wallkill. When I was there, I heard it changed a little bit, but when I was there, you were allowed to have doors. Like, you had your own cell. It wasn't a cell because it wasn't a max, but it was like a room. You had your own room, which was about what you could see. Like about this big, and you had a wooden house door. You close your door, and you had an opening about that big, and you could slide it and close it. So if you were handling yourself, you know what I mean by that. You'd put a picture on that slide piece, because sometimes people would check in that piece to see if you're there, and they'd be like, knock on the door, yo, can I come in? And if that thing was closed and that picture was showing, you can only knock. You can't see the person handling his business or handling some other shit, you know what I mean? So, and you had a key. So when you went to work, went to yard, went anywhere, you know what I mean? Went to another room, you could lock your door and nobody can get in that room except for an LCO who has a skeleton key for that whole floor. So that place was the best, because not only that, I worked for a optics program, which it was very hard. It's very hard math. It's like scientific calculator math. It's like, it's hard, you know what I mean? And like I had to study, to be able to do it, because if you didn't get a score that was a passing grade on it, you got kicked right. You didn't even start it. You kicked right out. I guess that was his way too of just getting rid of like bozos, you know what I mean? If you weren't going to try hard enough and study, you ain't going to make that money. And he don't want you in there either, because you ain't going to try hard in the test. You ain't going to try hard at work. So I did it. My first pay was $53. And like shortly after I got another raise, my next raise made it $58 every 2 weeks. And, I was getting my money for my family and, packages. So I was doing good. But put it this way, to show you the difference of payment, like to be a porter, it's like $9 every 2 weeks. Porter of the dorm of like, whatever. It's $9 every 2 weeks. So compare that to 53 or $58. It's a big difference, And all those people, since they went, at the time it was $55 was the most you could buy for food. Now it's $75. You know what I mean? But then you plus the tobacco, the tobacco don't count towards the money. But at the time it was 55. You basically got $55 every store. So everybody came back with full bags in that dorm. So everybody in that dorm said, yo, I get money in the town. You see, like I come back with full bags. Shut the fuck up. You had little bags when you first came in, and you only got big bags when they started paying you. So, that was some corny shit. But I didn't last long in there. I didn't last long in there at all. Like, they gave me a dirty urn for some shit, and I beat it. I got the lady not guilty. I beat it because I said, yo, and I beat a few. I beat 4 tier 3 tickets. I beat 2 of them where they said not guilty, and I beat 2 of them on the appeal to Albany. You know what I mean? Like, anytime I ever said not guilty, I won. You know what I mean? Like, that's how smart I am when it comes to this shit. And I was like, yo, if this is like gonna like affect my freedom and affect my good time, affect anything, these papers are all legal documents. And these papers aren't right because this says it's requested from Albany. And the reason why they requested it is for an ongoing investigation of drug use in Walk Hill facility. I said, that's bullshit. I said, Albany only does random drug tests. Albany has it's a long list. It's like rare. Like if you get an Albany random, like it's rare. Albany only does random. COs, sergeants, lieutenants, captains, depths, like the officers are the ones that do it through suspicion. So I said, obviously someone fucked my paper up, or they purposely just like did this shit because they had their sights out for me. I said, this is legal documents. And I was quoting all directives and shit like that. And she said, not guilty. And that pissed them the fuck off because while I got done with that, boom, I got another dirty urn. And I started the same shit again about like fighting it. And I was like, trying to say, yo, you can't give me dirty that quick from one time. You got to wait at least a month. But then I got told, and it was true, they didn't take that urine from, within a month. They took that urine when I after 2 weeks, and they froze it for a month and a half because they were waiting for a test for the K2, the deuce. You guys, 90% of you guys know what the K2 is. They didn't have it yet. And then when they had it, they tested all the urines. You know what I mean? So they had that for over a month when they tested the bulk. But I was still fighting it. The guy's like, I don't know why you're fighting it because I'm only giving you 30 days. You're going to do 30 days, you're going to come right back. It's not that serious. So I'm like, all right, man, guilty. Fuck it. Because I want to come back here. It was that good. You know what I mean? Because I know if I fought it, he would have probably found me guilty anyway and gave me 45, 60 days, whatever, something to get me out of the compound. If not more, but, like 60 days and I wouldn't be coming back there. Whether I had a good fight or not. You know what I mean? So I said, all right, fine. I went to the Fishkill 200, which is, the huge shoes, the SHUs, special housing units. In my rec pen, I was able to see them walking the dogs and shit. That's where I was, for you that are familiar with the shoe box. And, I did my time in there. And then I came right back, and 2 weeks later, they gave me a dirty urine again. And they got me right out of there. And it wasn't a dirty urine. It was a refusal to give because I wouldn't give them one within 2 hours. They give you like 2 hours to give one. And they only give you 3 cups of water, like that much water, and I got shy bladder. I got a documented mental health and medical, said this guy does have a condition called shy bladder. It's a real condition. It affects 7% of people in the world. He's one of them, you know what I mean? So I'm supposed to get, if either strip searched and I get a gown and I go in the bathroom by myself, you know what I mean? Or I think there's another way, but basically it's supposed to accommodate to me. They're not supposed to watch me pee. So I kept saying, I said, I have it in my medical records. You guys have it, and I got it in my mental health. You guys have it. All you got to do is call. They weren't jacking none of that. They threw me in the box. I appealed it to Albany. But by the time I finished my time in there, I went to Franklin, and I won the appeal though. You know what I mean? Like, that got erased from my record. Won the appeal. So I could have fought, probably did some shit and got put back to that facility. Because, that facility was right close to New York. It was in Sullivan County. But whatever. Franklin was lit. You know what I mean? I I like Franklin. You know what I mean? Like, Franklin was lit. I'm gonna admit though, I was in the annex, just like in Green. Every time I was in the, I was on the north side, except for when I had that medical issue just now. I was on the south side because, it was close to medical. But Franklin was lit, and I mean lit because like it was just a fun house. You were allowed to do anything. Like, you got away with murder there. Like, but I mean, there was a lot of cuttings and a lot of stabbings. So you have to watch out. You know what I mean? But someone like me, I really don't got nothing to worry about. You know what I mean? Because like, you're supposed to pay your debts. You know what I mean? If you owe someone like a pack of Newports, a brick, you better pay that. You know what I mean? Because like, in the wintertime, you're allowed to walk with your hoodies on. Now you're not allowed to wear hoodies, but I'm talking about when I was there, you got your hoodies on, your snow hat, covering up to your eyes, you wear glasses, and you got your scarf wrapped around you up the ear. So all you see is like that. I don't know who nobody is. Like, you don't know who anybody is. There's like, and there was 1,800 people on that compound. And there was like 1,800 ninjas, and it's cold all through the year almost. There's like 2 warm months in Franklin. There's always snow this high. Now I'm talking about this high. The trucks are always going around, putting the salt on the ground and plowing it, almost all year round. Not all year round, almost. But it was lit there. Like there was like, just for like anybody that does drugs and shit, there was like 5 drug deals in every dorm. And the yard, they didn't have metal detectors. I mean, they eventually probably did, but they didn't have metal detectors when I was there. You can go to the yard with like cans of like goods, like if you got canned meat, you know what I mean, or anything. Like, you just go to the yard and you just pass it off, and the guy's like shoving it in the pockets in his coat, and he gives you what you bought, But it was so lit, like everybody was getting stabbed or cut, that they actually shut down the facility for like a month and a half. And a month and a half is a long time to shut a facility down. Probably was other people that experienced it, which was longer, but a month and a half where every dorm went by themselves and then came back to eat food, to chow, and then the next dorm. Sometimes we wouldn't eat dinner until like almost 9 o'clock, And I'd be like, yo, I had to, for some reason my phone ran out of space. I had to delete a whole bunch of useless stuff. But about Franklin, it was lit. You know what I mean? It was lit. And I got into so many fights there, you know what I mean? Like, that spot was the place where I got in the most fights, you know what I mean? And, it was just lit there. I'm not going to drag the video out, talking about how lit Franklin was, people know. And that's what I'll say. For anybody that does drugs, there was tons of drugs, there was tons of gangs, there was gang wars, if you like to fight, there was tons of fighting reasons, there was plenty of times you had to fight. I've seen so many people like that get cut from here all the way up, you know what I mean? And you could see that their molars back there with their mouth closed. A lot of times, like, someone would push them forward, they'd be behind them. They'd have the razor and push them forward while they pull back. And then they had a man, which they call safety, would blast them right in the face in that spot. And that spot would open the fuck up from the fucking hit. And that guy would fall down. And he wouldn't know who the fuck did it, unless he was with people that pointed and, whatever the fuck. But he wouldn't know who the fuck did it, because there's so many people going every which direction. Now I think they changed it to where it's like you only go one direction, but, that's how they did it. That was Franklin. All right. And Collins was the softest spot I've been at. I was in Collins 1. I was in Collins 2 for a little bit, but Collins 1 was only like 400 people. Collins 2, you had to cross a public street to get to Collins 2. So, like, I don't know why they still call it Collins. It should have been a different facility. But it was a soft spot. Nothing really happened in Collins 1, at least. You know what I mean? But there was a point where they had this deuce in the one side, where if you did a piece, and I'll show you, a piece like that. Like that. Deuce, well, they were putting it on paper, like, get well soon, the cards, any card you get at a card store, a card, I love you daddy, or I miss you, cards. And then they'll drop it into like a pan with all liquid Deuce, because Deuce is liquid, and they spray it on that, whatever the fuck is to make it smokable. But they got the liquid, and they soaked it, and then they let it dry. and they mailed it. Mail it, why would mail know? Mail still can't know. Unless they gotta sit there, how long it would be to check every fucking thing for Deuce. But you could do it even with letters, but the cards would like that, and you'd buy that piece, and you would just cut it to itty bitty pieces, like little pieces, and like if you're cutting your nails, like little pieces, like confetti sizes, and then sprinkle that on and roll it up. Double roll it, because it's paper, rolled in paper. But sometimes people would add tobacco from the cigarette tobacco or rolled tobacco, to help it burn and shit like that. But if you take one big hit off that shit, you're gonna collapse. And people would try to like look out for each other. Of course, people would try to look out for each other, drag the person into the bathroom, and then keep spraying water on them and put cold shit around their neck, and keep putting water with a towel on and throw them in the shower with the freezing water, help waking them up. But it made the outside street news, because like 39 people went to the hospital the first day, and then the people that got caught, they went to the box, and you're allowed to have your books in the box after like whatever, a couple days, you get your property, and the shit was still in the box, because you put the paper in your books. So it got brought to the box, so people would drop it in the box. The ambulance was coming up to the box, and it was lit like that. Collins was lit like that. That made the street news. All right. Mid-State, when I was at Mid-State, I got put to the reception part of it to 4-H the day after, which I got lucky. But maybe I didn't, because they all got a class action type of lawsuit. But a CO was working in there, and he was fucked up. Probably just drunk, but or on Xannies or whatever, but he was fucked up. And he was just like, nobody bothered me. I don't want to be bothered at all today. And he had his feet up on the desk and on the chair, and his foot slipped down, and he went forward, boom, and he bashed his head on the desk, and he cut his head open. And 2 inmates seen that, and they were like, yo, are you all right? They were trying to help him. And the guy took his walkie-talkie, and he was about to pull the pin. The people who went to prison know what pull the pin means. When you pull the pin, it's like you're alerting all the officers to get to that area. All the rovers that drive around or walk around, they all run to that area. Like when there's a fight, you pull the pin, COs. So, and the CO's like, don't pull the pin. Don't fucking pull the pin. I'm fine. And the guy was like thinking he's not all right. Pulled the pin. The COs came in, beat the shit out of those 2 guys, threw them in a box, because they did that to the CO as far as they were concerned. And the CO couldn't say otherwise. The CO was saying, I can't remember, because if he said, no, they didn't do nothing, I was just drunk and I hurt myself, he would lose his job and his pension and all that. So they fucked those guys up. They ripped one guy's dread out, ripped it out. When I say they fucked him up, I was in prison. So if I say they fucked those guys up, they really fucked those guys up, and they threw them in the box. And then the next day, the sergeant brought a team of I don't know, maybe 30 cops, 30 COs, and everybody had to stay in their rooms, and they went room to room to room to room to room, finding out. They wanted to know what happened. What the fuck happened? Nobody knew what the fuck happened. And everybody that kind of knew said, yo, the CO fucking fell and hurt himself. Those guys were trying to help him. And everybody got their shit, beat. And I'm talking bad. They were crying. That's how bad it was. So when you were at one of the later rooms, you know how scared those guys were? Because they would hear these guys crying to death. All their clothes got ruined. They had knives. They would cut the shoes, cut shirts. They destroyed everybody's personal property and beat the shit out of them. There was a guy, Machete, they called him. He got his ribs broken because he was on the top bunk. They pulled him off the top bunk, and he landed on the ground, and they beat the shit out of him. Yo, it was fucked up. That made the street news too. And there's a class action lawsuit. The people got fired over it. The people that are on the outside that investigate the inside shit, they got involved on it. You know what I mean? And they're on our side more than their side. It's Office of something investigations, OSI now it's called, Special Investigations. They got involved. So, I was also at Green. The first time I was at Green was, 2010, 2011. And it was I was in the annex, and it was pretty easy. You know what I mean? Like, it was really not as bad. Everybody said, "Oh, green's bad." They're saying it because they want to act like they survived some warrior shit. Green wasn't that bad when I was there. You know, the only things I would have were pretty much with fists. I'm busy, so can you close the door? I'm busy. Yeah, if you knew, then why would you open the door?
Because I opened the door.
Yeah, you're on YouTube, so.
Okay, you know, your mother just got you something.
All right, thank you. I'm busy. I said it nicely. Yeah, you just got me some content. So, all right. So, you know, first time I was at Green, a lot of people would fight hands on hands. You know, there was a gang called like YG, and they would fight like Bloods. Bloods would fight the YG, you know, they would fight, and they would fight on the walkway. But, you know, a lot of times they used the hand. You know, most of the time they used the hands. So a lot of times there was blood on the snow. You know what I mean? So, but it was pretty easy when I was there, at least 2010, 11. I didn't go back there until 2018 when I went home the first time. And I went back there again. And I was only there for like 2 months, but it was still easy. Like I don't know why people say it's so bad. It was easy when I was there. There was no issues. I guess because I moved right. There was no issues for me. I made some, they're not friends, they're associates, but I made some, you know, associates, no good people. I went home from Green 3 times, 2011, 2018, and then this time, 2020. You know what I mean? Like, I was only there again for a few months, but I was in the South Side. And this last time, they said it was really, really, really bad. Like, really bad. And, like, on the North Side, like, people were cutting each other just to get the hell out of there. Like, you could be a random guy, you could, like, just walking, and you don't do drugs, you do good, you're an alright guy, and you get cut just because the guy wants to get out of that spot. You know what I mean? And they asked me if I was a Latin King. You know, I was like, no, I'm not. You know, I'm not. Everything is. Why you ask me that? Like, because if you Latin King, they getting you out of here. They find out there's none here anymore. They got them all out, like either cutting them or just fighting them. So I was like, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I got all these medical problems. I'm really not gonna worry about none of this shit. You know, so it was fine when I was there for me. You know, but the last time I heard it was pretty bad. You know, and you know, that's pretty much it. You know, that's pretty much the facilities I've been at. There's probably some more that I'm not saying, you know, that I forgot. Like, oh yeah, Mohawk. Mohawk sucked. I lasted 2 weeks in population. I came out of a box with a month cube restricted, which means I can't leave the cube, the area, you know, the cube. So he put me on, I was put on top bunk for 1 month, you know what I mean? And that was a reception dorm where you stay there 2 days, and I had to stay there for a whole month, and it sucked there. And when I went to reception, after my month of restriction was done, you got mandatory yard, no matter if it was cold or anything, mandatory yard, and it just sucked. I lasted 2 weeks there, and they set me up with a dirty urine. Like, I'll tell you I wasn't dirty, you know what I mean? Like, you guys are my YouTube guys. I wasn't dirty, but they said I was, and they gave me such a high level, like, it was it was ridiculous. It was obviously faked. And you go to the box right then and there. You give a urine, they tell you to sit in there, and they test it right there. And if you're dirty, they send you right to the box. That's not how it's done in any other facility. So, like, in other facilities, if you give you urine and you know you're dirty, like, you get, like, time until they test it. 10 days sometimes, you know, whatever. So you get the tobacco, you put them in gloves, and you boof them, you know. So you go to the box with matches or, you know, and a bunch of tobacco, you know, a lot of stamps, you know, whatever you want to bring. And that's it, you know. So I figured I'd tell you guys a little bit, go back to the prison life, you know what I mean? And that's what it was like in a couple of my spots. And you know, things change everywhere you go, you know. So every one of those spots could be different. I heard Wallkill, they don't have the keys anymore for the doors, but then I heard from other people there aren't doors. But then I heard from other people there are, but you don't get the key. So I don't know. I don't know anymore. But I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you got something out of that. A little bit of side content. And, you know, that's it. So, you know, I did a prison video. I'll probably start going back to doing some prison videos and shit. This was just more general shit. I'll probably go to some, like, you know, more specific. You know what I mean? So, goodbye, everybody.